good morning, and happy Sunday. Hope everybody is warm and cozy. Papa Don't Take No Mess by one of the founding fathers, James Brown. I used to listen to James Brown a lot in the passenger seat of my dad's Monte Carlo. Yes, Dad was the boogeyman, of course. Self-proclaimed boogeyman. Yes, that man could pray at the end of the days. He could pray. And Papa didn't take no mess. He planted some seeds within me to be reaped when it was time. And timing is everything. Some things come in packages that you ought not try to understand, especially if you don't invest in the package, okay? Understand, because Papa don't take no mess. And another thing about listening to James Brown, he was such a very proud man. Very proud. But his struggles, his early struggles, gave him an intense insecurity, an intense need for validation. And it came off as very strong machismo, very big bravado. And let's just not take away from the king. He was very talented and still is to this day from the grave. He's definitely an inspiration to a lot, especially when you put on, what is that? It's a Man's World and Papa Don't Make No Mess, and all those lovely songs. But however, you do see that this man was in a perpetual fight with the inside demons as well as the outside. He had to fight with the issues of having a father that left way too early without ever really explaining. See, his father gave him certain gems, but he wasn't able to quite elaborate on the pain that he was feeling and the oppression that he got from all ends. And the colorful thing about it was he got to experience his mom who stayed. And of course she had her own gems to give him, but you have to understand a young man's mind is very malleable and it's very susceptible to those very big and traumatic events. And even though a man might grow and grow to be great, there are things that are within him that may remain small. And that is not the size that he desired it to be. Of course, he desires it to be the way everyone puts it in the movies. Everyone writes it in the book. Everyone mentions it on the internet, the way that they portray it on the screen. Everyone desires that, both big and small in character, both big and small in wallet, both big and small in stature. Every man desires this one thing, to be big beyond their thoughts, to be big beyond their dreams. And this is true for some little girls. They also plan to be big beyond their dreams, but let's just not get away from the original thought, which is James Brown. Although he was a great man that did great things and made many kids, all those things were made in compensation of the things that he felt like he was not. If he had not become a singer, he would have still been a man. Had he not become a celebrity, his existence would have still been. Had he not been rich, his voice was so wealthy. You understand? So you have to understand yourself as a man and proceed that way. Because the person for you will love you on every level. There will be no compromise. And that also goes for her. But the biggest thing for me was the James and the Brown. You know, that man went through so many strong struggles. And he never wanted to appear weak. From his hair down to his feet. Oh, yes, James Brown. The ultimate enigma of a man's pride. Oh, when he made those whoop, and when he did those yes, and he slid across the ground, he was the very, very tangible visualization of every man. Doesn't matter the color. He could come out with a vest, a shirtless vest. He could wear bell bottoms with tight cuts at the top and very loose flares and threads at the bottom, and you felt the soul. He could get a process and you didn't think he was sweet at all. There was no sugar in his tank. When you thought of him, you thought of Rocky. You thought of Apollo Creed. Oh, yes, you thought of Apollo Creed. You thought of the Eye of the Tiger. You thought of Sylvester Stallone. You thought of the man's man, the man who trains, the man who provides, the man who blood, sweat, and tears for his family. And yes, that is you. Or at least that's what you planned to be. Or at least that was your intentions from the beginning. Even though that probably didn't end up being your result, that was your intentions at some point. At some point, you innocently looked at the screen, you looked at your phone, you looked at a book, you looked at something that represented the man that you wanted to be, and you aspired. And you set forth your plans. But however, something came along, someone came along, someplace came along that kind of knocked you off the path, and it didn't stop you from the money, but it stopped you from the journey, and that was the important part. But the money made it so easy to forget the parts of the journey that you wanted to skip. And that's okay. We've all been through it, man and woman. But this is James Brown. We're talking about what you need. I'll be with you in a minute. So, you see, James Brown started off as a small child too. And he grew into a big man with big dreams, and he actually had big folks around him. And the fact of the matter is, those people know that he needed his ego stroked every 20 seconds. They know that to say no to him was to basically deprive him of the manhood that he visualized, the manhood that he dreamed of every night before he woke up and got ready for a performance. However, he had good intentions. I'm not saying that some people that got knocked off the path stopped wanting or stopped having good intentions. It's just that the picture started getting blurry. The lines got blurred. Boundaries were crossed. Mistakes were made. Things can't go back. And atonement wasn't had. And no cleanup crew was dispatched. So now you're left with your mess as you need to go forward and create more over top the mess. And some people, when they enter the kitchen and they try to cook, they clean the kitchen. They refuse to open up a new cycle unless they close out the old one. And a lot of people think this is superfluous or an overture of sorts, but it's not really. You could cook over that old stuff. You could prepare a meal with it, but the chances of you having cross-contamination of the old life and gaining the hepatitis of memories and then forming a cancer of all the residue that hasn't been cleaned from the non-stickware. Of course. It was supposed to be non-stick. It says it on the label. So you wipe it and you don't think of all the germs and the porous things that have already seeped in. But this is why you clean your kitchen before you start again. That wasn't supposed to rhyme. But like I said, James Brown. A lot of us, when we think of James Brown, we think of the process that we had, and then we walk into a sweaty room and the moisture comes and it gathers and we're poof. And now we're peacock. But we want to process it again. And what happens when you over-process? You have to cut off those ends. I'm just being your friend, okay? Another Sunday. Another one begins. So Just be mindful of the James Brown in you. The moisture makes you poof. But your strong, strong presence would make a person forget that those things were happening all simultaneously. Of course, you can strive for perfection, but of course, you can, embrace the things that happen along the way. That, what is it? What do they call it? The malfunction, the costume malfunction, the little faux pas that happen, the Super Bowl, things like that. They're forgivable, of course, but we have this thing where we have, Alex, can you go this way? Because your game is like really loud. Go that way. I'll be with you. Compromise. It must happen. But yeah, just like those faux pas happen at the Super Bowl, you have to wonder where the attention is being pushed to and who's going to be dealing with the fallout way after the event happens. And a lot of these things happened with James Brown, especially in that movie. A lot of us remember that part with the toilet way more than we remember the whole entire movie. We always remember the most dramatic moments of a person's life, never paying homage to the parts that actually brought those things together, the quiet moments, the time spent in the studio, the songs written, the heart that went into it, the children that were made, or the children that inspired some of the songs, the moments between the relationship that inspired, uh what is that hot, what it was, a couple of them, I can't remember, I can't call out the songs right now. It's like the more my memory wants to pick up, the less I can say it. But you know what I'm saying. That came up with all of these titles, all of these wonderful titles that he came up. The ballads. Oh, the ballads. A lot of people forget the ballads that James Brown was responsible for and how he was pouring out. A lot of the machismo turned into heartfelt melodies. This man was so big, so big. But he was given such a small existence. He was only an entertainer to a lot of you. But he was such a man. Yes. Sometimes when a man or a woman gets a title, we pack that person into that title and we never allow them out of the box of our minds. And that's pressure too. And pressure does burst the pipe. So be mindful of the James Brown in you, and be mindful of your stage presence, and be mindful of when you get off the stage. Some people never stop performing, even though no tickets have been sold. Let's get on with it. I chose 67 this morning. I chose 67. I love my sunglasses. They helped. They're going back on, of course. But I wanted to choose Psalm 67, for the stragglers. God be merciful unto us, and bless us, and cause his face to shine upon us, Selah. That thy way may be known upon earth, thy saving health among all nations. Let the people praise thee, O God. Let all the people praise thee. O let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for thou shalt judge the people righteously and govern the nations upon earth. Selah. Let the people praise thee, O God, let all the people praise thee. Then shall the earth yield her increase, and God, even our own God, shall bless us. God shall bless us, and all the ends of the earth shall fear him. Selah. So be it. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning. Happy birthday. Happy Aquarius season. Happy, 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 everybody. And for those who always wonder, since I'm into spirituality and not religion, why I read the Bible. You have to understand that the Bible is a reference of sorts. I definitely seek the Kabbalah, the Quran, the every religious text that I can get my hands on, and I am definitely saving up for my Ethiopian Bible. I have other things that I have to deal with, so the Ethiopian Bible would be a luxury for me. And definitely I have donations. I have my Cash App in my description. money sign androgynous 111 for those who would like to donate, and definitely scoot over to Amazon and get Inside Gossip. This is a wonderful book, and had I known what I was writing at the time that I was writing, I had no idea that I was tapping into some worldly secrets as I put this book together. But pardon me, I digress. I decided to write a second book because this wasn't a coincidence that this type of knowledge pulled out of me, even though I wasn't privy to the actual world. It's just when the things pour out, I write them down and it seems to be what it is. However, this did happen again this morning. I was able to fill up a legal pad this morning with my thoughts. So bear with me as I get through it. My answers in the skies. Pardon the language. It's an artistic piece. Scrolling through the comments trying to fuck my ops. You think it's an option until they call the cops. Use a stalker, real street walker. That's why I be MIA. Real shit talker. Hey, Miss Parker, should make you sign an NDA. Do consider why you bitter that shit in your DNA. Ain't my fault they be appalled. They throw a bone, you fetch and chase. I do believe it's up your sleeve, them secrets coming through your face. You told the judge he tried to fudge the facts when trying to build the case. And then there's Steve, caught him at eve. He puts the pieces in their place. Time is come, wrists are wrung, now the hearts begin to race. Now you've been caught, don't be distraught. You've built a life upon these lies. You overflowed the stupid bowl and cleaned it up with spice and spies. Open your legs, there goes a peg, and your disastrous disguise. You only seem to boast the questions, but my answer's in the sky. There you have it. And that has been our artistic piece for this morning. I hope none of that went over your head. While we're being colorful this morning, let's join Astromatrix. The Phoenix is rising. Some of you, collective, are here because you've dodged a bullet, only but for so long. It seems someone has gotten ahead of you as far as your reputation proceeds. See, you've stepped in rooms that you probably had no idea you'd be in, but someone invited you there. But the problem was they didn't tell you that they already lined up your foundation. No one told you that they were talking about you behind your back. They were discussing your weaknesses and your strength. They also put in a few things about your peace. They told people how easily you were disturbed and by what you were disturbed. They actually put in place a dog whistler. The issue with that is that there was someone in the room that thought that it was basically good and easy to target you because they were able to attain some information on you. Privy the people that say that they love you a lot, but they only discuss your demise around people who they have these things in common with. See, they know that these people don't like you. This is why they sit and they have these conversations. This is why they feel so comfortable carrying a bone, you know? And no one knew that as you grew up that you'd be walking into opportunities upon opportunities, and you'd be talking to the same people that they threw you under the bus with. Some people knowingly kicked your back in and watched you walk in that room and wanted to see what the damage would be because they laid it privily for you. Some people dug a ditch with 4 or 5 others and they sat and they waited for you to walk into the hole. What they didn't know is that it was going to play out the way it was going to play out, and they would end up in Sheol. See, the devil came out because he was obsessed with making things chaos and trying to cut you off from yourself and your resources. But no one knew that they would catch the track of someone's air forces. So these things have come to light. Someone tried to come up off your plate. These three pinnacles, these people put their heads together. Now they're about to fight. Someone backdoored the other. Someone ignored their mother. Someone also checks the box that also says other. Someone got confused and someone will be used. I hope you got the money to bail out the family feud. Four of Wands, swingers, schemes, and pawns, Ponzi schemes. Someone picked the wrong team. Sweet dreams. Someone has to sail away. Someone has no fare to pay. Overflow. Somebody's going to have a lucky day. It's coming. It's coming. So let's read backwards. So someone's abundance is on the way because these things are wrapping up. We're waiting for the Aquarius. There's an Aquarius, some type of Aquarius. There's a Six of Swords, Aquarian energy. I think the Aquarius has to leave. It's something about an Aquarian energy. They need to leave, or they need to dismiss themselves. They need to go ahead. They need to go sit down. Somebody's doing too much. They're going to be the downfall of the wands, the pawns, the schemes. They're going to be the downfall, and they're going to bring down some people. This is Aries energy. As far as the pawns and the scheme, Aries energy, there's somebody trying to run the groups and the organizations. There's a Leo that's trying to distract everybody with bravado and maybe a fight or two, maybe some I don't know, schemes, scams of some sort. Somebody's calling the police, somebody's staging a fight, somebody's acting like they're pregnant, somebody's getting an abortion, somebody's got to go to the emergency room out of the blue, but it's not really an emergency. Somebody wants you to move too quick to where you don't catch the fact that either you fucked up or they fucked up. Somebody wants somebody to move too quick. They want somebody to be in such chaos, either physical chaos or mental chaos, to where they're not thinking and they don't realize that the problem is right in front of their face. Either they're the problem or the problem is right in front of their face, or they're part of the problem. They help the problem out. There's someone that's definitely all-knowing. There's someone that is also an authority figure and actually knows the right from wrong. Whether they apply it, that is up to them. I don't know. But this is the high priestess. So there are all-knowing people. Maybe it's one, maybe it's a couple. But there are people that are there that know. They know right from wrong. They know they know everything. They also know what to do going forward. Will they do it? We don't know. Um, that's High Priestess. That's the two. I'm going to do the numbers at the end. Then we've got the Three of Pentacles. That's this group that are putting their heads together. But if they actually paid attention, they might be in a fight because someone is double crossing the other. Someone is not telling the whole story. Someone is actually using the ignorance of the other to perpetuate lies, and it will not play out well. Defamation of character can be significant, especially when you go ahead and you listen to other people's opinions and you do not get facts. Then we've got the sun. That was the illumination, letting people know what's going on the scene. There are some people that are looking their way, but these people are so god dang smart, only in their own mind, because thinking is an isolated event by this group. They are so smart that they believe that the rest of the world does not see them. Trust me, I've had that perspective at the time until I got on YouTube and realized people were looking at every goddamn thing. So these people are in an isolated event just like that. They think thinking is an isolated event. They're taking that for granted, okay? And they're not aware that there are some people that are looking right at them as they attempt to approach the cookie jar. Do not put your hands in the cookie jar. I repeat, do not put your hands in the cookie jar. However, there is someone so blind, so bold that they will do just that because no one's looking. The problem is they're looking. It seems to be it's only one person wearing the blindfold, and it's them. You cannot make this up. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I take that as a compliment because I'm here for the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And then we've got the double ear. And he's here and he's like looking real stupid, you know? He's looking stupid with his hand in the air. This is how he got kicked out in the first place. He thought he knew everything. He thought he was the stuff. He thought he was the bee's knees. He thought he was bigger than the program. However, we have a lot of people here that think the same way. They think they're bigger than the program. Just because they've got a blush and they get a rush, they think that they are bigger than the program. However, we have to be humble at some given time because if the meek shall inherit the earth, why aren't you meek? Why aren't you? But I digress. I digress. You know, I always give space. You know, you gotta give space because if you're in the way, how can you move when the mistakes are happening, when the fallout happens, okay? Let's remember all these things as we go forward. I'm hoping that you go back and you listen to this maybe once or twice because I felt like there was a message. There was a message in the writing. There was a message in there. So, if you have lawyer fees, if you have probation, check, and recheck, and definitely do background checks on your probationary officer if you do, because you'd find some of them aren't as clean as they need you to be. That is funny. And be aware, ladies, if you have a job, a title, and you have a kind of job that gives you access to things, be aware that somebody's probably going to use you to get that access. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to blow your back out. Oh yes. Eater Peter's going to come through and he's going to give it all to you. And don't forget about Donkey Butt Danielle. She can give you that 360 swirl just to get you in her world. Next thing you know, you're all set up to go. Okay? So, remember not to come for me because somebody's spinning you. This has been a very short one. Happy Sunday.